This is Browny's Podcast! Welcome to Browny's Podcast.
Bus fat.
Big round, you guys. Everyone hates the umpires again, and it's mostly for holding the ball stuff. We'll get to that really, really soon. Jonathan just dropped on us that he's not going to be here for a couple of episodes because he's going to Ireland.
Why?
And you won't believe why.
I know.
That's called
I'm
a
that
tease.
jealous.
I reckon you're going to wangle it somehow that you're going to go with him.
Nah.
I've got a bus fat just thinking about it.
Oh, is that right,
I need a hustle for some.
Bus fat.
I need a hustle for some free flights and accommodation as his teaser pony.
Yes.
fluffer.
Henry the pony. Jaden's looking at pony. Hey, it's amazing, isn't it? Umpire appreciation round 2 weeks ago, Dino. That's well and truly in the rearview
quickly
mirror,
we
isn't
forget.
it? How quickly we forget. Mate, it's become umpire bashing round.
Yeah, what do you reckon?
Well, it's fair enough as well, I think, because over the course of the round, we saw a lot of examples of players getting up off the pack and handing the ball to a teammate or leaving it on the ground, not directly giving it back to the umpire. But the one time they decide to ping someone is late in the last quarter with the game on the line
that was a big one.
ultimately decides a result, which was a draw. Like, just use your common sense sometimes.
They have paid him this year.
I know.
But not at that stage of a game. I think there's been 4 free kicks paid for similar things.
Yeah.
But
John,
just not at the...
That's not how we want our game after 120 minutes decided.
It comes under the dog act law. It's a dog act by the umpires.
Dog act by the umpires.
Yes, they're right, but it's a dog act.
Well-
And read the room, you maggots.
Well, no, they read the room because Collingwood are the masters of the late game scenario, holding the lead. So there's no doubts about it. Umpires are coached during the week and they're coached during the game. They would have had a full awareness of Collingwood and some of the tactics they do late in games to not wind time off the clock because it was obviously time off.
Yeah,
but
not a
it
time
allows
wasting.
them to set up.
Was this one of those cases?
It allows them to set up correctly.
It didn't look like.
I don't
No,
think
it didn't.
so.
It looked like an innocent one to me.
Yeah.
Like, I could if it had been Scott Pendlebury who did it, you go, oh, well, that's a tactic.
Libba
But-
did it really obviously for the doggies a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Yeah.
Oh, but this one was not one of those.
It just feels like it was one of those things that were coached during the week or maybe during the game to the umpires. Say, hey, let's be aware of Collingwood, what they do in these late game scenarios. And bang, Matty Nichols, I think it was. He saw it and bang, he just reacted.
And it just ruins a really good game of footy. It was a great game of footy. It was a good round. We had 4 games decided by under 15 points.
A one game decided by 99 points.
That was unbelievable. Your mob just fell completely off the wagon. didn't
God.
they?
And you can hear
What
Rashudo.
happened?
I don't know, man. It's just real bad. We went back to useless, non-effective. Mark Rashudo does not like the Eagles. I could just feel it.
Really?
Am I wrong?
Well,
No.
I reckon they knocked him out of a... Did they knock him out of a prelim, a grand final one year? I reckon when Rue was flying.
Yes, that's right.
The Eagles
Cousy and
Adelaide
Jody
were good, yeah.
Yeah.
You on the podcast Friday, you were looking forward to Carlton and the Suns and the big test, and
Wow.
they failed another test, the Gold Coast Suns.
I thought they were gallant though. They were very good. I thought Vossi coached really well. Vossi and the coaches. Mac Andrews absolutely took Charlie Curnow to the cleaners in the first half.
Yeah, but he
then
ended up kicking 4.
Strategy change. So they drag Curnow deep. Andrew has to go deep, and then Harry McKay had to send half forward, and that turned the game. He kicked 4 in the second half. Is he the best match winner we've seen? In the last, okay, let's say best match winner forward we've seen this century.
Dog.
Like Dustin Martin's clearly been the best match winner.
And I tell you who else has been a match winner in big moments, not
Lance
necessarily with big bags, but Jamie Elliott in really
it's
big
a good
moments. But yeah, Charlie Curnow, if he goes on and wins a 3rd straight Coleman,
I just think it's amazing what he does, the mental fortitude for him to stand up when he was he'd lowered his colours completely in that first half. For him to stand up and do what he did in the second half, he does it all the time. It's
Also,
a really uncanny ability.
He'll drift back and take a huge defensive mark in some close games.
absolutely.
You're like, where did he come from?
Yeah, it's great. And, geez, he energised the crowd. Like Marvel Stadium, most of them were Carlton supporters, but the Marvel Stadium roof nearly lifted off when he got them rolling. So that was just great to see.
Beck, your dad's mob, Richmond, were not disgraced against Essendon.
Brilliant.
I'm really glad Essendon beat him, though, John. There's so much good positive energy around that club to go down to the Tigers. You would have loved it. I could see it in your face. But, mate, they got over. Not bad from your mob, though.
I was really glad, actually. I was like, I'll take the L.
Did you go back?
I didn't go. No.
Dusty was back to his old best, wasn't he? What about a couple of his goals?
It was good to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, do you know what I love to see?
I hope he keeps playing.
Older players that are getting towards the end, we know that they're not quite what they were.
Yeah.
But every now and then, you get a glimpse, right? And Jack Gunston was exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like, he kicked 4
good.
match-winning goals, and he's not going to do that every week. But Dusty and Jack both showed that there's still good footy left in him.
Dusty playing for Richmond next year, playing at all, or playing for someone else?
Oh, it's a good question. I'm going to say...
I only ask good questions.
I'm going to say he either retires or he re-signs with Richmond.
Really?
Yep.
So he couldn't see him in other colours?
Nah, without knowing anything. That's just that's not having a whisper at all. I just think he either plays on for another year at the Tigers or he calls it quits.
Dog, remember Ruffy's last game for Hawks?
Yeah,
when
he kicked 6 against the Suns.
That was unbelievable. So Suns not disgraced.
No, 29 points, though. It was a big test. It was a winnable game.
Just their midfield got cleaned up. Yeah, it was disappointing. Cripps and Walsh were awesome in their Kennedy as well. So, no, it was a good game of footy. I really enjoyed it. So, the Suns are heading in the right direction.
You know, the big talking point out of the round is St Kilda and just their inability to be able to score. Like,
Jesus.
I asked Ross Lyon before the game that they kicked 7 goals 2 weeks ago down in Tassie, 8 last week against Fremantle. Are you going to play in a more attacking brand of footy, kick more goals to win a game? And like with 8 minutes left in the last quarter, they kicked like 4 goals. They had a flurry late. I think they ended up with like 9.
That's Ross, though, right?
But they were going to be kicking 5 or 6 goals for the game again, and it's not on. It's not acceptable. King kicked 3. Outside of that, absolutely impotent forward to centre.
As pundits, are you guys noticing, is Ross changing his game plan at all?
Well, I think his midfield's not up to scratch. That's the problem. When you don't have a good midfield, well, it's hard to compete.
They try
and
hard.
last year, they played above expectation. No question about it. And I think that's hurt them this year because all the St Kilda Army and all football followers in general thinking, St Kilda will improve again because they've got Ross Lyon. In reality, though, their weaknesses have been exposed.
Sinclair and Steele try hard. They do.
Yeah.
But, they don't have a lot of...
Wanganeen Miller.
He's good off a half-back. But
Pomeroy, you had something to say?
Well, all, 5,000 St Kilda supporters and members that there are out there are calling for Ross's head.
No,
they want him gone.
Really?
That's too premature.
You should see him all
That's
over.
enough, Brody Pomeroy.
They're calling for his head.
It is premature. They've been disappointing, but you have to find a way to score in the modern game. You just have to. Like, Sammy Mitchell went through this 18 months ago when they couldn't score and everything, and he just said, we're going to go all-out attack. Now, with that comes... You can get scored against heavily, but now he's got the balance right, and Hawthorn are really competitive because that balance is right at the moment. They're defending okay.
Yep.
They can't score, though, and they can't win games of footy if you're going to kick 7 or 8 goals a match.
Is it a case of... Because Rossi, a couple of weeks ago, he said we're trying to create a bit more sizzle in our game, but they can't get it. Is it a case of a coach that, like Rossi's so structured and so disciplined with his team, sometimes, if you look at, say, him and a Craig McRae, who's more of a freewheeling style of coach, back your instincts, back your judgment. Is it just subconsciously, does it just creep into the players when you're always working on structure? You become overly structured, so you lose your offensive flair.
Yeah, well, a little bit. I think, especially against Melbourne, who are so good in the air. You've got May. Lever wasn't there, but they brought in Tomlinson, who's equally as good, and McDonald. He talked about dirty ball. Now, dirty ball is just that scrappy kick forward that you bring to ground and you fight for it, right? The problem was they took like 17 or 18 intercept marks because every time the ball came inside their forward 50, your Higginses and your Collards and those guys couldn't compete against Tomlinson and McDonald and May. So there was no dirty ball. It just got marked and then rebounded straight back the other way. So the only thing dirty was Ross when he came charging down at quarter time. He wasn't dirty. He was filthy.
Has he lost him? Has he lost him?
Nah. No, because they did bounce back. They're just not good.
So no sacking for Ross?
No sacking for Ross.
John, if he's trying to create some sizzle, hot plates are busted.
But the games are unwatchable.
They're hard to watch. No doubt about it. Hey, draw. Surely, when are we going to go to overtime? When are we going to go to overtime? Are we in the entertainment game?
We are.
So we send 50,000 people home flat as pancakes.
It's a good point.
I want a supporter base to be cheering, and I want the other one.
What do you think's fair? 5 minutes either side.
Absolutely,
John. There are two kinds of draw because the Freo for them that was a win. They came back, and 2 points is a win. It didn't feel that bad for Freo fans, I don't reckon, that one.
No, that's right. And Collingwood would have been disappointed, but they had 6 players under 10 games. It was a mighty effort to go over there. But, God, just give us something. Give us a little bit
5
extra.
minutes?
Like, we've got 130 minutes. Sure, we can go an extra 5 or 10 minutes.
I'll tell you what I love in life, bit of vindication. Because Tuesday, right, Jared Waitley was walking past SEN Track Studios. We were in an ad break. And Cam Luke said, hey, Jared, come in here and give Campbell a little bit of feedback, right? And he said, yes, Campbell, you went the early crow and it came back and hit you on the arse. And the number one rule in broadcasting is you never do that, right? And I agreed. I said, yep, Jared, it was, it's a mistake I'll never make again.
Did you wedge
So on 2 nights later, when I was listening to AFL Nation, and Bobby Hill turned around and kicked that goal to make it 25 points with 7 minutes to go. And I heard Jared say, and that closes the door on Fremantle's chance.
Really?
He declared him. So declared him. So it can even happen to the greats of the modern era.
Very unprofessional.
We should call Jared right now and say, suck Jared.
What about the Lions?
Mate, you're done.
No, you're done. I want you to concede on this podcast that there is no coming back.
No, don't, because then the players will hear it and they'll be flat.
No, they'll just know that
I've got to go into training.
He's honest.
I've got to be able to go into training and show my face, but they won't play finals.
Nah.
Oh!
They won't play finals. But, hey, we're not putting the Lions through the lines for this window.
They can bounce back.
Mate, they'll bounce back next year. Everyone's written them off, so it's the end of an era.
Wait a minute. If they're not making the finals, is the window closing or opening physically? From a physics perspective?
Because they'll get Kadee Coleman back, Tom Duday,
Ashcroft,
Lance Whitnell.
They'll have young Lance Whitnell.
Loman's been good.
With Lance Whitnell.
Loman's been fine.
Good. Young Morris was good.
Yeah.
Levi Ashcroft.
Yeah.
New father-son pick. So have a lot better list.
There's no room. There's no room, is there, in the 8? There's just absolutely no room for you to get back.
It's amazing how even the competition is, isn't it?
And you get a couple of injuries. Like, you can just look at Richmond. Like, bad luck in a season on top of not playing your best footy. Catastrophe.
But Richmond are cooked, though.
Yeah.
They're like not only this year. Like, so Brisbane and Richmond, 2 different stories.
Yeah.
Like, Brisbane will quickly rebound. Richmond are cooked for the next 10 years.
It's actually a blessing in disguise that Andrew McQualter, who will become a very good senior coach one day, right? He's still young-ish in the industry, didn't get that job because I reckon he was close as the caretaker. If he gets that job, he has 2 or 3 years now with Richmond. You never recover again. You do a Brendan Bolton. You know what I mean? You get the Carlton job. You go in there with high-ish credentials, and you don't survive. You never get another senior
Rebuilding coaches, the only one I can think of is Alistair Clarkson.
Yeah.
Really, it's survived.
Yeah.
He survived at Hawthorn, the rebuild, and obviously sent him to premiership glory. So it's a bloody hard thing to do because it just takes so long. And especially those big clubs, the supporter base get restless.
Spicy round, ads, and then we're going to play some dog commentary audio or some audio related to you, my friend. Also, where are you going, you son of a bitch? We'll find out.
I'm that jealous. They're still burning effigies of me in the streets over there.
Don't move.
In Dublin.
Welcome back to Brownie's podcast. I want to throw this over to Brodie Pomeroy.
So for the second week in a row, Campbell has been upgraded to the seniors.
Yeah,
obviously,
do you want me to give you some breaking news? There's going to be a 3rd week in a row. Dogs going down to GMHBA to do Geelong and Richmond.
Oh, an absolute blockbuster. Have you noticed how he's been getting the very, very big games of late?
Yeah.
Jonathan, this is 3 rounds in a row.
It's amazing. What's going on there?
Mate, I went over Kentucky, and absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Have you got some dirt on Lewis Martin, have you? The boss of Channel 7.
They're just rewarding outstanding service to the network.
So boundary or up in the box?
I think I'll be boundary.
Yeah, right.
It was boundary again yesterday, and 2 bits of audio when I was watching, and they were astonishing. Here's the first one.
No, so do you want the footwear one or the other one?
Do the footwear one first. Okay, so he was talking to the great Adam Tomlinson post-game, and then Tomlinson just had a quick, I don't know, bit of, call it banter, if you'd call it that. It was weird.
With his afternoon back in the Demons side today.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam Tomlinson, haven't been in a Melbourne jumper since the first round of the year. It's been 10 long weeks, but you thoroughly enjoyed it this afternoon.
Oh, absolutely, Browny, and it's better than seeing you at 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and at least you got shoes on this time.
What's going on there?
Well, for round one, I forgot my dress shoes, and I rolled out there just in my Archie thongs, right? Uh-huh. And then I realised I actually don't need dress shoes because they sort of only film from your waist up.
That's exactly.
Right. So no one knew that I interviewed him post-game in my thongs until he just ratted me out.
He brought it up.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the round one out at Casey. And I was a bit hung that day. It was the day after the Grand Prix. So, I wasn't in my best areas.
Boundary. You can't board short it. You can't thong it.
I know.
But when you're in the box with the aircon and the
sandwiches, I know.
You do whatever you want.
Lesson learned.
How does Jason Bennett go when you're not on the call on a Sunday?
He misses me.
Yeah,
he misses me thoroughly.
Him and Nudge.
Yes.
Would they be flat that they don't get called up?
Well, Jace does. Yeah, Jace does. And Nudge has been doing some great work with racing.com, so he just doesn't have time.
Is it as in Nudge off Hey Dad?
Nigel Cummings.
Sure.
Do they even play the VFL when you're not there? Do they just give up? Like, we'll just call it quits for today, boys.
No,
we'll just go.
They still do it.
Just 2 points each, mate.
Do you still keep tabs on the VFL when you're not working?
I don't.
I
don't.
Really?
No. I'm going to have a month.
Who's on top of the ladder? VFL.
I actually couldn't tell you. I'll jump that hurdle when I get to it.
What else have we got?
Well, the second grab, and obviously the game was pretty average. Like, there was no excitement whatsoever. So there was a bit of, and you know what, the boys in the box, because Danger was in there as well. So they thought, you know what, let's throw down to Campbell and let's have a bit of repertoire and see if we can get a bit of,
back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth.
It was so boring.
And this is how it went.
Missed that.
Sorry, can we just go down to Campbell Brown? I think I just saw something arrive on him from the sky. Campbell.
That's how my luck is. A seagull just landed on me. I didn't know, so I was stuck in that moment.
That is good luck, Browny.
Is it? Well, I'll wait to see if the good luck comes because I haven't had much lately.
Well, didn't Sean Burgoyne say to Byron Pickett in the car on the parade in the 2004 Grand Final when a bird did something similar, you'll win the Norm Smith medal tomorrow, and sure enough he did.
You are a bit bare up top, actually, Campbell. Looking at this angle, there's a bit of a helicopter pad sort of emerging at the top.
I'm trying to address that with some drops.
Stop. Jump the hole.
The drops won't work, but a trip to Turkey might.
Jesus, that's savage.
I know, mate. How savage.
Start off, Timmy Watson. The whisk was off the long run.
Whisk was a seagull defecated right on my microphone and my notes. Like, I was lucky it didn't land on my shoulder or my pants. But in that moment, I didn't know whether to say poo on me.
Yeah.
Number 2, defecated.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say.
Well, mate, that's the beauty of broadcasting. What'd you roll with?
I just said a seagull landed on me.
Number 2.
I love the word defecating. It always brings me back to the great
word.
speech that Eddie Maguire gave the Collingwood boys after a rather raucous training camp in Mooloolaba.
Right.
When someone pooed in the hallway. And he stood up the front. He was absolutely ropeable. There'd been some complaints made.
What do you mean pooed in the hallway?
Someone did a on the carpet in the middle of the hallway.
What, after a night out?
Yeah.
Like Nate Miles style?
Yeah. And maybe as well in the stairwell where you know
that's a shame.
Maybe. Like, there's a lot of detail about it. Maybe.
And Eddie was obviously ropeable. They wanted, this particular place wanted some financial, retribution and
compensation.
Eddie stood up the front, and he's, how red his face. He gets beetroot red, and he had his notes, and he basically stood at the front and just went off, right? And he said, and for those of you, there was an absolute disgrace. What sort of people go out there and they defecate all over the walkway and the stairwell? And for those of you that don't know, that means and he started hitting his. He thought that some of the people in the room didn't know what defecating meant.
Well, when he said it, he probably clocked it. I'll look at it in blank.
Yeah.
And then he's doubled down, and he wasn't joking. Then he was
no, it was very.
Because he can blow up.
Oh yeah.
But hey, who's in a hallway? We're adults.
Well, inappropriate behaviour.
God, you're both very quick to defend adults. Hallway.
Exactly, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Nate Miles did that years ago.
Yeah.
On a State of Origin camp, I reckon. Or was it now? Or it might have been after a game they played anyway. And he was the captain at the time.
Mullets in the AFL.
Well,
We've got to touch
some
on
interesting
this.
stats, boys. So I love the mullet chat. Now, there's been a study done on mullets this year in the AFL.
Uh-huh.
And I brought some interesting notes here.
You got data?
I got data. A lot of data.
Come prepared.
The ABC's analysed. Your favourite channel, Brown Dog.
Yeah.
Across 18 teams, there's 788 players this year.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. There's 150 mullets.
Really?
In the competition. There's
Well, that's a
150
lot.
mullets.
Big numbers.
That seems too high.
3 of the top 10 mullets, based on length, are from the Western Bulldogs.
Okay.
Bailey Smith, Caleb Poulter, and you pick the other one?
Aaron Norton.
There's others there. Sam Draper, Ralph Smith from Richmond, Jacob Ryan from the Pies, Lockie Jones, Josh Weddle.
Yeah,
Hawks.
yep.
I like Weddle. He's a good player.
Good player.
Dasher, Tom McCullum from Port Adelaide.
Never heard of him.
Jack Scrimshaw, another Hawks man. So, and it tends to be the younger players who wear the mullets.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's more of a... So the Western Bulldogs got a highest percentage of any team in the competition for most mullets.
And John, also the Smith mullet is a premium horse mullet.
It is.
Premium.
Been there for a while.
Premium.
Well, you got the old school mullet like he's got, and then you've got the sort of Liam Baker mullet.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, where it's sort of shaved on the side.
That's
then you got
right.
one out
And
the
a
back.
bit tipped as well, like that balayage look with the blonde locks.
Yeah, Jake Watermans has a little tuft and does a little dance.
Fraser Garrick like.
Fraser Garrick.
So Western Bulldogs, 33% of their players have mullets.
Big numbers.
That's amazing. And Hawthorn 30, they're second, all the way down to Geelong and Sydney, who have the least mullets in their team. Now, it was interesting because they went through and had a look at the data, the fantasy points or the dream team, and it actually doesn't help your game. On average, they rank about 5 points. If you've got a mullet, you rank about 5 points lower
Is that right?
than if you don't have a mullet.
Because there's too much hair getting in your face.
Good data.
Well, that's right.
Statistically worse off with hair.
That's
If you're leaving the house game day with a mullet, you're not going to get as
Shave
many
it off.
points.
Exactly right. You're not getting as many points.
Do you reckon-
So omit that player from your dream team.
Do you reckon I'm getting more AFL games now because I'm losing hair?
Mate, baby. Jared Waitley, he loves his stats. He's got to be across
Got to
this.
use that.
Wow.
You got to bring that to Fox Footy.
Beck,
You have to be
send
happy
this
with
to
that.
Jared and say Brownie's got a big story.
Just yell from here, Jared! Jared!
So anyway, I'm not normally a numbers man,
Mate,
but
that's wicked.
that sort of just piqued my interest.
That's
There you
unbelievable. Hey, we're gonna. I promise we're gonna find out where Brownie's going, and we'll do it next. It's pretty.
I'm
big.
that jealous.
It's pretty big.
Are you going to drink Guinness?
Absolutely. Doesn't Connor... Actually, no, I can't reveal it.
Oh,
Well, I think
hang on, what?
I can't reveal it.
ads back in a second. Welcome back to Brownie's podcast at Brownie's podcast.
Just before we reveal the big news, Dino, superstitions.
Yeah.
I've got superstitions. I love Peyton Manning. He's a great media performer, of course. Good friends with us.
Yeah, he
Brown
is.
Dog, we met him over at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever drank pineapple and Malibu and
pineapple, and you put the wrong number in his phone.
That's right.
That's why he's never called you.
Anyway, he was interviewing, he's got a show on the moment on ESPN. He was interviewing Marshawn Lynch, who was a great running back for the Seattle
Beast mode.
Seahawks. The original Beast mode.
Yeah, not like your ex-teammate.
Reece Matheson.
Hey, Marshawn Lynch was in a movie recently called Bottoms, and he was friggin' hilarious. Like, legitimately good actor.
No, he's a funny man.
I love that
Funny
guy.
man. Anyway, Peyton Manning asked him whether he had any superstitions pre-game.
What were yours?
Right.
What was your...
My superstition was that I needed to have maybe a shot and a half before every game.
Of?
Hennessy. What you mean?
I was thinking,
Yeah.
Gatorade. Or
Gatorade.
Toradol. I don't know what I was thinking.
Hell no.
And there's a bar right there in the locker room in Seattle. Schneider and Pete
Borrow
Carroll.
my backpack.
Got it. The backpack.
So you never shot.
So he turned up with a bottle of Hennessy in his backpack and had a shot and a half.
What do you reckon
before
happened
he
if a coach saw a player doing that?
Oh, it would be unbelievable, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You'd be sacked on the spot.
I remember Charlie Dixon had a glass of red the night before a game for the Gold Coast Suns down in Tassie and got suspended, let alone before a game.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Superstitions. I used to always run out last. It was a bit hard when I was skipper.
Yep.
Timmy Notting, a teammate of mine, would always have a spew on the ground.
Oh, yuck.
Mate,
You're bulimic, is he?
Well, it was almost like that. It was almost bulimic-like behaviour, and we'd be out there doing the pre-game warm-up, and he'd always, like clockwork, have a big spew.
How's the lining in his stomach now? Because he played a couple of 100 games.
That's right, yeah. Just all bile.
Wow.
Nothing left. One of the great footy trip operators.
Lance Whitnell would sacrifice a live goat before every game.
Do you have any
I didn't like
superstitions?
touching the banner. So I just, for whatever reason, I didn't like touching the banner. I always tried to have spaghetti bolognese the night before a game.
Before a game.
That was sort of the
Leftovers in the morning? Or not?
Yeah, definitely leftovers in the morning.
I think Trav Cloak got fish and chips. So
Did
he'd
he?
always have to go and have find fish and chips the night before a game.
There was always a big gap when we were running about change rooms, which were terrible. There was almost like floorboards that go to concrete, and I would try and jump the half metre between the floorboards and the concrete every time. Okay. I averaged about 2 touches a game for 4 years, so it didn't really help me. But
Well, it's like Rafa Nadal. He doesn't step on the lines.
yeah.
In between games.
Mate, he's got full OCD. He plays with his willy, his backside, and both sides of his face.
Can I bounce into a guy called Bruce Buffer to try and
Bruce Buffer
to try and announce who JB is going to go over to Dublin and
then
see?
once you say it, I've got accompanying music that'll kick in.
All right, so he's flying out Thursday. He's going over to Ireland, specifically Dublin.
Business
by Fox. Of course. So he's going to miss a couple of potties. He's doing an interview on Monday with the reigning, the defending, the undisputed champion of the world, fighting out of the red corner from Dublin, Ireland, Conor, the notorious McGregor!
You prick.
That's unbelievable.
That was good.
Mind you,
that was impressive.
He's not undefeated. He's not. He's none of those things.
John, you're going with the producer. It's just you and a producer. Is the producer turning left on the plane or right?
I wouldn't have thought so. Back galley in the toilets, but it'll be a good trip. Can't wait. Go over to Dublin.
You prick.
They rang me last week and said, we need you to go to... you've been to Ireland before? I said, no. We need you to go over there and interview Conor McGregor. I was like, oh, okay. Right,
so Brisbane, Qatar.
I'm going to go Sydney, Dubai, Dublin,
right,
and then Dublin, Dubai, Brisbane.
Wow.
On the way home.
Good 4 days.
Mate, it'll be good fun. And Emirates as well. They've got a bar up the front of the Emirates plane as well.
Never been. I wouldn't know. What's there?
Okay, question. So I've got maybe half an hour with Conor. I'm going to take an AFL ball over, and I'm not sure whether he played. Did he play soccer or Gaelic football? Because when he says he played footy as a kid,
soccer.
That's soccer for them. Questions.
All right, I've got one. It's more of a statement.
Okay.
Roadhouse was
Really?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Don't lead with it.
I always wanted to know why he picked up that
Point Break or Speed?
That chair and threw it through the window of the bus that day. Remember, he nearly got arrested in New York City.
Yeah. Wait, John,
against Khabib.
Just to be clear, I was referring to the new Roadhouse. The old Roadhouse is
I was going to say, Swayze. How dare you speak like that about Patrick Swayze?
What else?
So, boys, you've given me statements.
Yeah.
I need questions. I can't just go over there with statements. These knuckleheads that I work on a podcast with, they've got these things to say.
If he had trained at boxing rather than UFC and eventually had fought Floyd Mayweather, who would have won?
Floyd would have touched him up. I was at that fight. I flew over for it.
Did you go to that fight?
Yeah, I flew over 4 days, a bit like your trip to Dublin. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, out Sunday. I watched the first round. I'd had all night on Friday night. I went to T-Mobile Arena and I closed my eyes during the first round, right when they were in the corner, and I woke up in round 10. My mates had let me fall asleep for the whole fight. Basically didn't see anything.
Were you on TV?
No, I wasn't on TV, but I basically missed it. So,
John, I want you to ask him to close his eyes and walk through his house mentally and count how many TVs he's got.
Oh, yeah. How many TVs do you reckon he's got?
I reckon 21.
21?
Mm-hmm.
And if he can give us an answer.
It's pretty cool, though. Like that is a bucket list moment. JB just flying first class to Dublin to interview one of the biggest sports stars in the world.
It'd be top 5 in the world. It'd be Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, LeBron James, Lance Whitnell are close, 4th or 5th,
Junior,
and then Conor McGregor.
Maybe a repost from Browny's Instagram page. Browny's podcast.
Yeah, make sure you come back with not just Fox content, but for this podcast.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get a couple of questions for us.
Get him to say Get him to say, Brownie's podcast, the double champ does whatever the he wants. That's one of his great quotes.
Dog, we got to load him up with a really good question.
Dana, where's the other belt?
Because we need it to go viral.
Yeah, not a lot of good questions.
So we're giving him ones.
Yeah.
We got to come. How long do we have?
Like Broads has, put a glass eye to sleep with that question. Jesus Christ.
These have not been good. Degenerates, if you can help us out. Do we have you Friday or were you left?
No, I'll be in the air.
We'll send our list to it.
I'll be
we're going to
just
send you a
halfway
list.
through my first Dom Perignon and maybe a bit of, what's it called? The caviar?
Yeah,
some of caviar.
Make sure you...
Maybe send some questions back. Can we get all the listeners to call in, to send a message in? What questions to ask Conor McGregor? And the best one, we'll get up.
Make sure that you buckle up the whole time you're in the air, right? Because I was doing a Sunrise interview this morning, and there's been 2 incidents.
Why are we on Sunrise?
Because I'm their AFL correspondent, right? What is after that for? They need intellect, they need humour, they need someone that will get up at 6:30 to do it. There's been 2 incidents in the last week.
That's astonishing.
Tragic incidents. One with Singapore Airlines where someone passed away, a lot of injuries, and one with Qatar Airways when the planes have suddenly hit turbulence and fallen out of the sky and people have got injured, right? Now, I was listening today, just before I got on air, and you know what they're actually saying the cause of this is?
No.
Climate change. Give me a spell! I wanted to wait until What a World, but I can't hold my tongue anymore. They are blaming climate change for 2 freak incidents in the air just a week apart. Can't have it.
Can you do that again? Give me a spell.
All right, scientist, what is it then? Why isn't it climate change?
Because it wouldn't be.
Because it wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be. It's just rubbish. It's the climate change activists looking for something to just attach themselves to like a pilot fish.
Good enough for me.
I love that. Well done.
Thanks, Jake.
That's a magnificent episode.
Are we done? Have we give one more ad break? All right, have a great week. Get those questions in for John and Conor McGregor.
Yeah. Send it to Instagram, Beck. Yeah. Do you want to send it to Instagram?
That's right. On the stories, just chuck it up and we'll get back to you on that one.
Beck, I want a young person's perspective on American Pie, just to see what they think of it. So can you watch that and get back to us?
I will. I'll get back to you.
All right.
I might do a live reaction.
Shit.
We'll see.
See ya.